Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Cellar TV. I'm Connal Finlay, and I'm the director of the Cellar store down here in New Zealand. And so today we are trying a rather fantastic wine, and a sweet wine actually, because we haven't actually tried any sweet wines to date on this particular channel. So it's quite exciting to be able to finally try this. Now this is the Channing Daughters, so I'll just hold it up there for you a little bit of a zoom in there for you. So it's the Channing Daughters Muscat de Boom. Now he's only made this a couple of times, and so it's quite interesting to know, because we bring in the Cellar store, or myself I suppose, but the Cellar store, we bring in a whole bunch of New York wines, some of the best players from up in both Long Island as well as the Finger Lakes region and upstate New York. Anyway, so Channing Daughters are one of the brilliant producers from actually on the southern end of the Long Island there. On the South Fork they call it. Anywho, so this is their Muscat de Boom. It's 100% Muscat. Only makes tiny amount, and as I was going to say, he's only made it a couple of times before, because it is quite a sort of unique sweet wine. And sweet wines, sadly, because I'm a big fan, they don't necessarily fly out the door like they perhaps should, so you don't necessarily need to make a sweet wine every single year, which is also potentially a good thing, because it means he can go out and focus on a whole bunch of other styles, like his pet nats and such. Anywho, so I completely bought this on a whim. I had never tried this before, but I just had such confidence in the wines from Channing Daughters that I knew it would be good. And it really was. I opened it it launched, I think it was in November, wasn't it? And on Christmas Day, I went and I brought a bottle over to Christmas Day with the family lunch. Well, after the lunch, we're bringing out cheese and chocolates and things like this. You know, after you've had, enough food for 5 days. And you're sitting down and you decide, oh my gosh, I need something sort of sweet, something just to mellow it all out into the evening, because we have a lunch, my family, as opposed to a dinner. Anyway, and I say within about 15-20 minutes, this whole entire bottle was gone, just between myself and a cousin. So it was delicious, and so I'm very glad. Not that I had any disappointments or thought that it would be not a good wine. I knew it would be good, and I'm just glad it was. Anyway, so let's get to it. Tasting it. Anyone that drinks Muscat or knows Muscat at all will absolutely recognize this nose. It's just filled with all this beautiful sort of salted taffy and sort of baked apples and slightly crunchy almond topping that you'd get on sort of an almond croissant, and beautiful sort of stewed oranges and those sorts of lovely sort of aspects. And there's a little bit of that sort of dried or caramelized pawpaw or papaya sort of note, that really sort of rich, beautiful, sugary and toffeed sort of fruit flavors, all those beautiful tropical sort of fruits. Absolutely delightful. And I have to say, for something that is no doubt as sweet as this is actually very well balanced. I know this obviously because I've tried it before, but let's try it now, shall we? Very tempting to not spit that out. Utterly delicious. But again, as I say, just to reinforce that, so well balanced. And it says here, and I didn't actually realize this just off the top of my head, but it's 105 grams of residual sugar. And to put that into perspective for you, 105 grams of residual sugar is actually quite high. In the best years, most Sauterne houses, which is the famous sweet wines from Bordeaux, they tend to have, well, they're fully botrytis wines, and to learn about that you can go onto our website to learn about other sweet wine styles, but they tend to have, in a good year, between 110 and 140 or so grams of residual sugar. So this is actually quite high for grapes that have largely just been left to dry out on their own accord to get that really intense flavor. I should also note as well that this is actually a fortified wine. So this is only about 16.6%, but it's still made in the same way that a port is made. And so essentially the fermentation is going along, and we can still retain a bunch of the sweetness and the sugars there in the actual wines, because what we do, instead of basically letting the fermentation go all the way to its end, we will get a neutral base spirit of some accord, like a vodka essentially, and we'll pour it into the fermentation, which will then kill off all the yeasts, stop the fermentation, make it fortified, hence why we have 16 or 16.6% alcohol, but we shall also actually keep all that beautiful residual sugar, so it's fortified, as well as having that high 105 grams per litre of residual sugar. So that's quite a lot. But again, beautifully sweet, and it does have quite a bit of acid here as well, which means that it's not cloying or anything else like that on your tongue whatsoever. This is actually one of the most amazing sweet Muscat wines, or sweet Muscat fortified wines, that I've ever tried before in my whole entire life. The balance is incredible, and the flavour, even whilst I've been ranting on here for the last minute and a half or so, it just keeps tingling over my palate. Again, those toffee flavours, those beautiful caramelised pineapple and those sort of baked orange flavours just going along my palate. It's just delightful. Anyway, so we have this online. I think it's about $50 for a half bottle. Very rare. Not many bottles were brought into the country. We're hoping to get some more next year, or on our next shipment later this year. So it's very exciting. But as I say, utterly delicious and highly worth checking out. So please do go online and check it all out, or the link for that will be down below. And of course, after all of our videos, make sure that you do give us a thumbs up, like the video please, and subscribe and share around with all your other friends and wine-loving family. Very good. I'm Connal. This has been the Cellar TV. Cheers.